Let's face it, most people aren't making massive turkey feasts on the regular. And after 364 days of not thinking about it, it can be hard to get that bird just right. That's where Instacart, the holiday rescue app, comes in. From getting all the ingredients to prep a full seasonal spread to getting last-minute swaps in a turkey emergency, Instacart has everything a holiday host needs to save face and save dinner. And right now, if you download Instacart, you'll get free delivery on your first 3 orders and delivery in as fast as 1 hour. Offer valid for a limited time. $10 minimum per order. Additional terms apply.
You've been waiting all year, and the moment is finally here. It's time to shop Boll & Branch's biggest sale and start getting your best sleep in the world's softest sheets. Right now, you can get 25% off the organic cotton sheets loved by millions of sleepers. They feel breathable, luxuriously soft, and get even softer with every wash. So hurry to bollandbranch.com for 25% off everything with free shipping and extended returns. Shop today at bollandbranch.com. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Time. P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, starring Bob Lutz.
What is your name? Starts with a B, ends with a B.
Oh, don't tell me.
10 seconds, Bob.
Bob!
Bob!
Woohoo!
Jeff Lutz.
Now, why do they call this a urine monkey? Just found out.
Yuck.
And Jason Duda. For today, anyway.
I want a double cheeseburger on your egg and on your drink.
I know that, dude.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Strap yourself in and feel the cheese.
Hello, everybody. It is a Wednesday edition, the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH Radio. Bob Lutz, Jeff Lutz, and our friend Jason Duda in the 3-man booth. Max Power makes it a 4-man booth, except he's back in the East
not in the booth.
Studio, producing and engineering the show. And welcome to everybody on this pre-Thanksgiving show. Nothing here tomorrow or Friday, except I think they're going to certainly there'll be something on the radio.
I would assume.
I just don't know what that will be. It will not be us. Hello, Jason Duda.
What if they just rerun a show?
You brought over some Snickers salad for me today.
Yeah.
Begrudgingly, you weren't happy to do it.
Well,
but your wife...
she listened to the show that day, so you got some, and then so she also made some loaded baked potato chips and dip, so Jeff gets to have that, and
That's for me.
I had to stop and buy my own coffee today. That's what happened.
Nothing for you.
So how's it going for me? Just fantastic.
Well, I assume you'll get cooked for tomorrow.
I better.
I will not.
You won't?
No, he's working, which he's reminded us now about 75 times.
Tomorrow. Yes, I'm working.
He's working tomorrow.
I'll be working.
Aren't you going to get paid like triple time?
I'm not.
You don't get paid holiday pay?
No, I'm on salary.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That was a terrible negotiation.
Well,
what are you going to do?
You went away for a trip this weekend, so...
Yeah, work.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Go the morning.
If you'll let me cover something sad, first of all, it's the 60th anniversary of the President Kennedy assassination, which is sad still, 60 years later. I was 8 years old. Neither of you were on the earth at that time, but I have certainly memories of that. They're vague, but they're there, and 60 years ago today. It's just unbelievable. Secondly, I wanted to talk briefly about the passing of a good friend. His name is Reed Shounts, and he was a basketball player back in the day at South High School on some of the great South High teams of that era in the late 1970s. And later in life, I ran into him again when he worked for Ready Industries, and then later on his own as an irrigation guy. He would come and turn my sprinklers on and off in the spring and winter. He would come and service them. Saw quite a bit of Reed, and unfortunately he passed away, and very sad. I know neither of you guys knew him, but I know
met
a
him
lot
several times.
Really? Oh yeah, he went out to your place to do some irrigation work, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah, and I saw him over here a couple times. So, yeah, I knew Reed a little bit.
Good man. Very, very, very good man. And we're very sorry to lose Reed Shantz. All right, 869-1240, the IHOP hotline. We're going to make picks later today. We've got comedian Joe Gatto. We're going to talk with Andover Central coach Derek Tuttle. But before we do any of that, I'm going to dig in.
You're gonna rip into that Snickers salad, which looks like queso.
Yeah,
from where I sit.
I made the remark when Jason mentioned this the other day. What is Snickers salad? He didn't know. He just eats.
I knew it was good. It had apples, green apples, and Snickers.
You put something in front of him, he'll eat it, and he won't really look at the ingredients.
Does he need to?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
No, you don't.
I've always
Just eat it.
wondered. He thought this was more like a Waldorf salad,
Which is not.
but it's a combination.
I don't know what a
pudding,
Waldorf salad is.
apples, and frozen Snickers
Yes.
candy bars, and maybe another ingredient or two.
Well, and there's vanilla pudding.
And I said pudding.
Oh, well.
So what I'm going to do is dig in here and get a chunk of apple, a chunk of Snickers,
Okay, and see
and
what
some
you
of the
think.
pudding. And while I do this, Jeff's looking at it like, that looks... You know, Dia, I don't know why you made Jeff anything.
No, it doesn't. I'm sure it tastes amazing, but you got to get over the aesthetics of it.
Because it looks like vanilla, because it looks like pudding.
Yeah, it's pudding with something
Pudding with
chunky
stuff
in it.
in it.
I mean, so what?
You'll be all right.
Butterscotch pudding. It has that look.
That's what
right?
the look is, yeah. That's what it is.
So while you guys talk, I'm going to take a bite.
Well, you go right ahead. And then Jeff can try his if he says he likes it.
I'm sure I'll like chips and dip, but I don't know if I want to eat chips on the air, make crunchy sounds.
Oh, well, that's true.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Your wife is a genius.
It's good. I know.
No wonder you love food as much as you do.
Well,
if she does,
she doesn't. She does a lot of bake. She does stuff like this, dips and stuff. That's what she does. I do the cook, but I could eat that stuff all day.
well,
There's a strong place in the world for dips. Let me just tell you that.
listen, I had high expectations. She exceeded them.
I know. It's good stuff, man.
Very good, Dia, and thank you so much for the paltry amount that you sent over.
What are you talking about?
Jeez.
What an unthankful person I am.
Yeah, because that's more than enough in one sitting.
Plenty
that's probably
more.
good for at least two.
Plenty more
or
than
three.
enough.
Wow. I just got to give a shot in there, eh? Just got to.
Even to your lovely wife.
Even to my wife, you got to get a shot in there. Doesn't matter what it is. Well,
There.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's outstanding. My wife is upstairs making her world-famous potato salad.
That you've never even had.
Oh, I've had it. It's very good. I tease her about it. It's a family tradition, and we'll be taking that to her relative's house tomorrow. The world-famous potato salad.
I'm working tomorrow, dudes, so I won't.
Are ya?
I won't be able to.
You know
I
what?
didn't
We
know
hope
that.
you don't have any dinner. We hope nothing happens for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now tell the listeners about your escapade.
Do I have to?
Yeah,
It's not that I mind talking about it. I don't mind talking about it, but it just makes me upset because I know my wife is upset about it. And anything that makes me think of my wife, I don't like. But I'll tell. I mean, I guess
anything that makes you think of your wife. You
being
don't want
upset.
to talk? Well, how upset is she?
I mean, she's not thrilled.
1 to 10.
It was about a 14 last night. I think it's come down a little bit.
Oh, I would.
What were you
Yeah.
on 1 to 10?
I didn't know how bad it was, and I tried to hang in there for her.
Well, listen to this. This is called you're giving your cats too much freedom. Here we go.
Freedom. I mean, cats and pets walk around during the day in the house. This is not the first time that they've flipped the water on because we have a little back
On the
and
sink,
forth
the
lever.
kitchen sink.
We have a little back and forth lever. It's not like the handles. You can just basically, if you bump it
Well, maybe
forward.
you should have gotten a different
well,
hand.
trust me.
Or just got it so they couldn't do it again.
Trust me.
They did it.
I've
They've
had-
done it before.
Yes.
Well,
That's
then
what
what?
he just said.
Yeah, I thought that's what he said. Thanks for catching that.
But this time,
wait a minute. Why would they ever have the opportunity to do it again if they'd done it before?
I don't know because I don't know. I didn't know that there were solutions.
Tell us what happened. You didn't know there were. Help me out.
If my wife doesn't think of a solution, I just assume there are none. But
you got home yesterday, and what did you see?
I saw our sink overflowed, our kitchen wooden floor with standing water in it, dripping and running all to the carpet in the living room, the bedroom, and it was an unsightly sight because a cup had gotten stuck in the drain. The cat, we didn't know who it was.
Would
I know
the drain
who it was.
have?
No, it wouldn't have. Nothing would have happened if the cup hadn't been in the drain somehow. We didn't put a cup in the drain. I don't know how a cup got in the drain.
Well, a cat knocked it in the drain.
Yeah, but how?
Well,
how are you that precise? And how?
Or the water that was in there started and got to the dishes that were in the sink, and it floated into the
There were
drain.
like no dishes in the sink. I think she bumped it in from the side of the sink because the soap, the little hand soap, was also.
So the water got turned on, and there was nothing to
stop it.
Stop the water, and it overflowed, and it got onto your floor everywhere.
Cabinetry.
And so what's been done since?
We got Stanley Steamer out there as we speak, drying out the carpet, drying out.
Well, you're very fortunate they got out there this quickly.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good sign.
If it gets dry, if you can dry it out quick enough, it might be okay, but I don't know for sure.
Well, some of the stuff is already warped. Some of the flooring is chipped, and I don't know. I don't know what the because it doesn't seem. It's not like a huge deal. Like if some stuff is warped. But I know when an insurance adjuster comes out and sees that some of it is warped, that means you probably have to replace all of it. So you're tearing up the carpet, you're tearing up the floor, you're tearing out.
Yeah, you got a $5,000 job you're looking at.
$5,000, $2 million.
I don't think. No offense, but I don't think your stuff's worth $2 million.
It just seems like it'd be a lot of work.
Well, it'll be a lot of work. It'll just be a real pain in your guys' butt is what it's going to be.
Yeah, and you hope insurance takes care of some of it, although
now that we just put out that the cats did it, and someone I'm sure is listening.
Well, I hope you're going to tell them that anyway. I hope we're not going to say, well, the faucet exploded, and, have you heard of insurance fraud?
Well, we didn't say that any human did it. We just said, I don't know. Who cares? I assume someone will handle it.
This guy gets so rattled about money and insurance. You don't know how to live in the daily world of life, man. I mean, these things happen, but you certainly tell the insurance people what happened.
Well, yeah, whatever. Do we, Jason?
Well, that's what you got to do. I mean, it's what happened. So
it's an accident.
Yeah, it's not like it was done on purpose.
It's not like they said, well, we'll arrest the cats and we'll go from there.
Well, you might want to arrest one.
Well, yeah. We
might want to think
but
about
we don't know which one.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Which one?
Sue.
Well, how do we know that?
Because she's the one who gets up there all the time. And she's the one who gets behind the faucet, behind the sink area, and walks around and snoops for food. The other ones don't care. Sue has turned into a just not rabid literally, but like a rabid, I'm going to go after food at all times, at all costs. She's insane. And she didn't used to be like that. But now that there's competition, there are younger cats in the mix, and she just feels like she has to get her paws on everything. And it's embarrassing.
Well, now we're upset with Sue. And it's
I love Sue. Sue's my bud, but come on, Sue.
Well,
you can't just destroy our home.
You're also assuming it was Sue.
It was.
You have a good idea that it was, but there's no video evidence.
No, there's no evidence.
I know who it was,
and
and
it
wasn't.
Be corroborated that that's actually who did it.
I know who it wasn't. It wasn't Allie. It very likely wasn't Nettie Harris, because she doesn't get up there. And it might have been Kai, but it was one of the older ones for sure.
Well, what you do is you move on. You're transparent. You say, "Here's what happened. What can we do?"
You know, I have a question.
Am I right about that?
Insurance people, do they have humanity in them, or is it just all by the book and policy? Or do you think we might get an adjuster who has a heart and is just like, okay, yeah, this sucks for you?
Adjusters are tough to read, but most do. I mean, you gotta have a little bit, I would think. Some maybe go by the book. I honestly don't know.
Well, I don't know what the book is.
I don't, I've only dealt with them with my stuff, with our roof and our gutters that we had to get replaced and stuff
But
like
you
that.
also have worked in the industry.
They were good.
A little bit.
Yeah, but we don't talk to.
Okay.
I mean, we don't talk to adjusters.
Well,
they want nothing to do with us.
I don't know what the adjuster's going to say. You'll have to deal with it. These are things that happen in life.
Oh, we had a guy out, and I called the company that we had, and I said I wanted somebody else.
Really?
Told them what happened, and they said, okay, we'll send somebody else.
When's the adjuster coming?
I think Monday. I've heard a lot of different, like this person we talked to, but I'm pretty sure the adjuster is a Monday.
Well, it's probably a tough time, too, I guess, being Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Yeah, you're not going to get anybody this week, most likely, although getting Stanley Steamer out.
That's a big deal.
That was huge, because if they can dry that stuff out, that'll help. At least you'll know where you're at. So
48 hours of fans, most likely.
We had that at our old place.
Well,
had a faucet out back. When you turned it on, the pipe broke. We didn't know it, and it ran for like a day. And I went downstairs to the carpeted bedroom area, and it was soaked. We had stuff on for like 2 days.
Pipe broke? Covered.
Pipe broke.
But covered. Insurance-wise.
No, it ran forever, but we just aired everything out, and it was fine.
And everything was fine.
So we didn't have to get anything replaced and or fixed, which was good.
Yeah.
But it was in the basement too, but it was the carpet and everything else.
Well,
so
we'll see. We're not going to try to forecast what the adjuster does, and hope it doesn't spoil a holiday.
I'm good. I'm not that upset about it. I hope my wife, when I go home, isn't too upset about it. She seems to be handling it okay today. So
there's not a whole lot to be done.
Just is what it is at this point.
All you're doing, what you're doing is all you can do right now.
KU,
not much else you can
KU
do.
playing as we speak. They lead Tennessee late in the first half. They played really late last night and got thumped. And I could not make it up for that game. I'm sure you didn't. And I'm 100%.
I did not, but they do like you can watch like condensed games.
Well, I recorded it, so
I basically watched the game.
I didn't watch the whole game. I knew the outcome, but I did fast forward to the incident late in the first half where McCullers scored. McCuller scored. Don't ever correct me.
Well, get it right then.
Don't ever correct me. You know, made Jot a little bit with the Marquette bench. Shaka Smart took exception. Told him to apparently that ESPN did a horrible job covering this.
It was pretty bad.
Was it really?
Yeah, they cut away from it. Didn't really show it. But apparently Shaka Smart told McCuller or someone to shut the F up. Bill Self rightly took exception to that. They got into it. Both benches were not out on the floor. All this happened on the sideline.
They were kind of out on the floor,
so
but it was during a timeout.
Yeah, whatever. Self and Shaka Smart went back and forth. They were not happy with one another. When the officials called them together to talk, they did not leave that happy about anything that was said. After the game, Bill Self was told what Shaka Smart had to say, and basically said, "I don't care what he had to say; it's a lie anyway." Good stuff out of Hawaii and the Maui Classic, except for, by KU's standards, a 14-point loss. And, of course, everybody panicking. Jeff Goodman on Twitter saying this is not a team I can see winning 6 games in March.
They played 5 games.
Listen, he's right that KU has not identified a perimeter game yet. they don't shoot the ball well.
McCuller played pretty well. He played very well.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Outside of him, nobody did.
But he can't be the only guy, and he's not known as a 3-point shooter.
I know, but he's gotten better. He looks really good.
Well, sure, he looked
good yesterday anyway. His shot looks good. They just didn't get anything from anybody else. Dickinson played well in the first half, but did nothing in the second half.
Just because you watched a couple highlights.
I didn't watch a couple of highlights. I watched the game.
When? When did you have the opportunity to watch the game?
Today.
At work?
Yeah, I had YouTube on one screen and everything I was doing on the other. I got 2 screens. It's beautiful. And they play like you can watch like a half-hour version of the game that just takes out the timeouts and some of the other stuff.
There you go. So, yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's Purdue and Marquette for the championship today at, I think, 5 o'clock, 4:30, something like that. And that'll be a heck of a game. We've got a good show. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will talk to Joe Gatto. What's the show again?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Do you want me and Duda to just handle this?
We'll talk to
He's
Joe
not on
Gatto.
it anymore.
He's going to be at the Orpheum Theater coming up on December the 7th. That's a Thursday night. We'll talk with comedian Joe Gatto next.
I'm Snoop Dogg, and I'm giving up smoke. I know what you're thinking. Snoop, smoke is kind of your whole thing. But I'm done with it. I'm done with the coughing and my clothes smelling all funky. I'm going smokeless. Solo Stove Fix 5. They took out the smoke. Now you can have a nice blaze without any clouds ruining your day. Go smokeless. Go to solostove.com. Tell them Big Snoop Dogg sent you.
You're staring at the computer screen and have written, then deleted the same sentence over and over again. Your work needs to get done, but the writer's block is real. That's where the free Odyssey app can help, with thousands of podcasts to boost your mood, inspire you, and even teach you a thing or two. Jump into Glennon Doyle's We Can Do Hard Things, The Tony Kornheiser Show, and say more with Dr. Sheila, starring Amy Poehler. Download the free Odyssey app and start listening. Your favorite mood break, your Odyssey.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Here is the very much aforementioned Joe Gatto, comedian. He will be at the Orpheum Theater on Thursday night, December 7th, part of his comedy tour that is starting here shortly after Thanksgiving. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. I missed what I was aforementioned about. All good, I hope.
All good. All
good,
very good. I came clean and said I am one of the few people who has not watched Impractical Jokers, but the other two that are here to talk to you are big fans. So I'll let my son Jeff start the interview because he has not missed an episode. He did not miss one of your episodes when you were a part of that show.
Yeah, so Joe, I guess I'll start with this. When you, and I don't want to overload you with Impractical Jokers questions because I know you're doing other stuff, but when you announced that you were leaving that show, how many people did you have to convince that it wasn't part of the show?
Lots. Everybody. I think some people still think it was.
I'm still wondering myself.
Yeah, no. It's it was a good part of my life and reason why I am where I am today. So I don't shy away from speaking of it. It's part of my legacy, and I'm very proud of the work that I put in with that show. So I appreciate you being a fan.
Well, and Joe, I got to ask you one because my son's listening. And we watch all your all the episodes as well. He's a huge fan. You're probably his favorite. Just tell us how did it get started? Like, were you knuckleheads just sitting around saying, "Hey, let's do something stupid and film it and see what happens," or how did it come about?
Yeah, well, first of all, your son's a very smart boy, clearly intelligent. We're raising a good young man here. It was more like we had come up with a bunch of different comedy concepts that didn't work. They were like scripted or whatnot, and they weren't really fitting. And so we had like one last shot. We're like, you know what? Let's just do what we do, make each other laugh, and just film it and put it together, and then we'll find a format for it. So we started doing that where this embarrassment comedy is how I always made my friends laugh. Like I don't get embarrassed, but I love doing these, making scenes and messing with people and making myself look like a fool to make them laugh. So we just started putting that together, filmed a sizzle reel, and then we went into True TV with it. They saw it and were like, this was great, we'll take it. And did it for 10 years and made over 300 episodes. And I think people just really enjoyed the show because it really was our friendship on display more than anything else. You know, you got to see us and get to know us in a real way, and that's what we enjoyed about it.
Joe Gatto, our guest, again, he'll be at the Orpheum here in downtown Wichita coming up on December 7th. So stepping away from Impractical Jokers, it's a tough act to follow. Tell us what led you to deciding to kind of embark on a different journey, where you are in that journey, and what you hope that journey becomes.
Well, I always knew I loved to make people laugh, and I've been performing for live for decades. So after I had some things go on and I had to decide what I was going to do for next steps, the bills keep coming. So we were like, what am I going to do to continue the journey? So I was like, I had my team talk to me about doing stand-up comedy because I've been used to performing live and telling stories and whatnot. So we decided to try that. And I started in Appleton, Wisconsin in January 2 years ago. And it was a really fun ride. It was really nice. And I was like, this is kind of fun. So I decided to start developing it and pretty quickly came up with my hour and ended up in theaters because the fans were coming out and my show had gotten strong enough to carry a theater show. And that was really fun. And I was like, oh, okay, so let's take this all around the U.S. So I started doing it around the U.S. and I performed live comedy in all 50 states. I'm going to Australia next year in February, which I'm really excited about. So it's been a crazy ride, but the best part is I still get to make people laugh, come out for about an hour, and just forget about all the BS in life and just smile and laugh together.
So, Joe, I was just on a little bit of a road trip, and we put on quite a bit of comedy during the road trip, and I was noticing, maybe more than I usually do, that when comedians do bits, they make up these characters, and they give these characters names, and they refer to characters, and the names are usually funny. Like, they make the names themselves funny. As someone who made a fictional Larry, a huge part of your show, what's the formula for just finding funny names and making these characters up?
Yeah, that actually comes from like the improv days. So back in the day, I started with improv, and like an easy thing to get people engaged was to have a funny name. We actually built a whole bit around that on Jokers, the Courageous McBasketball bit. I don't know if you remember that bit where we'd play
yes,
receptionists sitting in a waiting room, and we'd provide each other with a list of names that we'd have to call for people to come in. And the goal was you couldn't laugh when you said these stupid names. And the most famous one was Courageous McBasketball. And so that was always a fun thing for us to come up. And my mind just works that way about stuff. And Larry just came out, and next thing you know, it's canon. And Larry is what I'll be known for till the day I die.
Joe, what putting a show together that you're doing now? How much time does it take to get it, and do you do the same show over and over, or do you have different bits for different nights to change it up? How does that all work?
No, it's a true stand-up show, so it's an hour and a little bit of me telling stories of my life. I'm a storyteller, so and I've got plenty of fun stories to tell through the fortunate life I've had with Jokers and those friends of mine that I've been, we've been friends for 35 years at this point, and it's just been, so much has happened in our lives together on and off camera that's so much fun to share. And then I talk about, parenting and being a father and my crazy, my love for adoptable dogs and, the rescue that I run comes up with lots of stories, and especially being raised by my crazy Italian mother and stories about growing up. So it's a good mix of all that where people get to know me. And on the show, I didn't play a character. I was myself. So if you got to see me on TV and liked me, you get to spend a whole night with me as I tell a little bit more about myself, which has been, I think, really what the fans respond to and enjoy.
Well, I've already got my tickets for the 7th, so I will see you out there.
And I won't mention that he said I won't mention that he said that if you did not call our show, he was going to give those tickets up. So
I did say that, Joe. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, I think.
Comedian.
Well, if you hear a heckler out there, you'll know who it is.
Comedian Joe Gatto, our guest. He'll be at the Orpheum on December 7th. So I just wanted to ask you, who is your toughest critic, and how do you know when something's funny? Who do you try that out on? And how many times have you been told that I don't think that's that funny, and so you maybe eliminate it from your repertoire? Does that happen? How does it work?
Yeah, it always happens. As you're trying out material, you figure it out. You get in front of crowds and try things. But for me, it's like, for me, it was always like you found something that was funnier and you were more excited to tell. So a story that you were more excited to tell. So in my first half of this tour, I had a story that ended up losing because I had gone to Disneyland with my son, and we went on that big Star Wars ride. And he had never seen a Star Wars movie or been on a Star Wars ride. I'd never been on a ride. So he really thought that we were in outer space in the intergalactic battle when the whole thing was shaking and everything. And he screamed he hugged the guardrail and he screamed, "I want to go back to Earth." And I thought it was hysterical. And I was telling it to my friends in the car, my friend Steve Byrne, who I do my podcast with, Two Cool Moms, and another guy. And we were talking about it. And he's like, "That's so funny. You should tell that story on stage." So that night I just tried to tell it, and it got a really good reception. So I developed that story, and I took out another story I used to tell because I found that to be funnier, and I felt like more engaged with that story. So that happens to me a little bit, where I find something I'd rather talk about.
So, on your show, The Impractical Jokers, you involved your families quite a bit. You even made jokes about your parents having passed away. So I was just curious what your childhood was like, what got you kind of interested in comedy first, and how that love was supported by the people around you.
I grew up watching television and movies, mostly movies, comedic film. Mel Brooks was a household staple of ours. I watched those movies with my father and, my sisters and stuff. I lost my father when I was 19 years old, and we had always bonded over some watching TV and comedy and laughing together and quoting stuff. We used to watch Tim Allen's Home Improvement, and then Tim Allen's special was the first one I had ever seen, first comedy special. It was either on Showtime or HBO, but it was one of those, and I'd watch that with my father. And I always enjoyed stand-up as just, a fan of comedy. I wasn't really into it, and I'd heard of all the big hits, of course, and but really comedic film. I'm a filmmaker at heart. It's really what I always adapted to, so I really like comedy in the form of movies. So when we got to make our Jokers movie, I was super excited because I was like, oh, this is going to be fun to be able to try a different format.
Well, have you ever been to Wichita before?
Yeah, I've been through Kansas. It's been a minute, and I don't think I haven't performed there solo, so I'm excited about that. But Wichita has got good people there, and I'm excited to get around. I love coming to the towns a little bit early and just hitting the main street with a coffee, walk around, do some shopping, see some people, and that's one of my favorite parts about touring is that I get to get in the town for a little bit, talk to the fans, and see people out and about. So I'm excited to come through.
Talking with Joe Gatto. He will be at the Orpheum Theater here in Wichita on December 7th. So I like talking theory about comedy. Why do you think there are funny people, and what is the main ingredient of being funny? Why are there people who aren't funny? Because I work with two of them here on this show.
I would say you have it or you don't.
You're not supposed to laugh at him.
Well,
Say
you guys
that
probably
again,
have the
Joe.
same opinion. You guys probably have the same opinion. So I think I think it's it's not something that can be learned really. It's more of you could be a funny story. But I know plenty of funny people that wouldn't necessarily do well in entertainment. That just takes a different type of thing to do. I think you'd have to have a different exercise a different muscle. There's a little bit more of a charisma and salesmanship to it. But we all have funny friends that we just love spending time with and enjoy hearing stories from them and whatnot. But, as far as comedy theory goes, there's no right way to do it. I just think if you think something's funny, I've always said if you are having fun doing what you're doing and somebody's watching you do that, it's infectious and they'll have fun. So I've always tried to use that as my benchmark. I've always tried to have fun with what I'm doing when I'm trying to entertain, and hopefully people come along for the ride.
So, Joe, real quick, was there anything, by the end of the show, you were not saying no to anything ever and rarely getting punished. So can you think of anything that you would say no to as far as something, that's, I guess, legal?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get arrested. I wouldn't be like, take that baby. Open the emergency exit. Like, I wouldn't do that stuff, I don't think. But for the most part, like, at the end of the day, we were friends, so we didn't really want to put each other in too much of a danger. So we always kept that in the back of our mind. I always think it'd be a very different show if we didn't know each other and care about each other, and we were just out for blood. I think it would be a very different show that wouldn't have lasted nearly as long.
Well, I'm gonna watch some Impractical Jokers for sure. I
should
really
check it out.
appreciate
You should check it out, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know why I haven't. I'm usually up to date culturally. I don't know what happened. But we certainly appreciate you coming on the show today, Joe, and best of luck on your tour. Have a great Thanksgiving at the Orpheum Theater here in Wichita on December 7th. We'll see you out there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks.
All right, Joe Gatto, formerly of Impractical Jokers, and certainly I got the biggest laugh from Joe.
Well,
during
we
that
weren't
segment.
we weren't begging for him to laugh at us.
We don't need to get him to say that we're funny. We already know that.
Nice.
You need
my goal is to get comedians to laugh, and I think every single
you try
one.
impossibly hard, and the pity laugh is one of your best friends.
I think
You've
every
gotten plenty of
single
those.
comedian who's been on this show has laughed at a remark I've made.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Including the great Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Speaking of pity,
what do you mean pity?
I mean it's embarrassing. It embarrasses me, to be honest, that you think you actually made Steve Martin laugh. Of course he's got a fake laugh. He's the funniest human being on the planet.
Max, can you get that for the top of hour number 2? Is that possible?
We're gonna play the whole interview.
Not the whole interview. I'd like Max to get to that part.
Just hit the fool alert. That's all you need.
Yeah. If you can't do it, Max, go ahead and hit fool alert.
I have that in the button bar, so I'll just find that part and try to pause it.
I appreciate it. We'll see if
got it
Jeff-
in the button bar.
Yeah, the button bar. We'll play the button bar of the Martin Short interview coming up at the top of hour number 2. The Rolling Stones are touring in the United States next spring.
Why?
Because they love music.
Oh, do they play it anymore?
Max
Mick Jagger can't sing. I mean, come on. If you don't have anything to tour with, if there's nothing new about your band,
They are playing 13 dates in football stadiums. There will not be an empty seat in any of those stadiums.
a lot of people holding on to their youth.
You saw the Stones. Why are you down on the Stones?
Because that was 31 years ago, and Mick Jagger still had an artificial hip.
So being old means you shouldn't do things. That's a sad... Should I stop doing radio?
Oh, goodness, yes.
So Mick
My
Jagger
hero.
and Keith Richards, who are going to sound great, by the way.
No, they're not.
They're the Stones.
Here's Mick Jagger. Oh, baby, oh, get ya, meet ya.
You sound like
Miss
a complete...
you.
You're not funny,
Woo,
Jeff. You're a
woo.
moron.
That's all
no,
Mick
seriously,
Jagger does.
that's not funny. What you heard coming back in that promo
was real comedy.
Was idiotic. The Rolling Stones headed back out, and I've seen this. You're a fan of the Eagles, who are roughly the same age,
A little younger.
as the Rolling Stones, roughly the same age.
Right.
Still filling arenas. The Stones fill stadiums, so there is the Eagles are a phenomenon, in my view. 50 years of doing this and still selling out arenas. The Stones have been doing it for 60 years and are still selling out stadiums.
Yeah, I don't really get
They
that.
at least deserve your respect, Jason
I
Duda.
respect the Stones. I may even like the Stones. But when I have a chance,
Jason Duda.
But when I have a chance to be irreverent, I'm going to do it.
What? Am I supposed to answer that?
Yeah, your thoughts.
On what? They're selling out.
Don't you
stadiums.
respect the Rolling Stones? I know you're not a music guy, but
I mean, if
and
you're
you have a
selling-
blank look on your
if you're
face. I don't know
selling
how
out-
your family is your son still listening?
No, he just shut it off by now.
Good.
Yeah. No
because
question.
if you are a member of the human race,
Yeah.
and you're asked about the Rolling Stones, you have an opinion. Whether you live in
Do you?
Wichita, whether you live in Seoul, South Korea, they have that kind of pull. They are a universal world band. So everybody in the world knows the Rolling Stones. They tour the world. And to sit there like a bump on a log, well, I don't really know.
I didn't say any of that.
You didn't say anything, though.
No, exactly.
We need something from you.
I know my wife likes the Stones, so they got to be good.
Your wife.
But the fact that they sell out stadiums still is impressive. Whether you know a lot about it or not.
Thank you.
That's impressive.
Thank you. That's all we're looking for.
Well, they've had the greatest longevity of any band in the history of time.
Here's where they'll be playing. They will be at the NRG Stadium in Houston. They'll play the Jazz Fest in New Orleans, which is a thing unto itself. That's they'll headline that, and that's the Jazz Fest in New Orleans speaks for itself.
Right, keep going.
Well, I'm trying to get Duda involved.
I understand Jazz New Orleans. I get it. I get it.
They'll play the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, Lumen Field in Seattle, all NFL stadiums, MetLife in East Rutherford, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, the Camping World Stadium, Orlando, Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, Lincoln Financial in Philly, the Cleveland Browns Stadium in Cleveland, Empower Field Mile High in Denver, Soldier Field in Chicago, SoFi Stadium in L.A., Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, and their one sojourn into Canada, BC Place in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah. Home of the Lions.
It makes you happy.
Didn't we just have the Grey Cup?
Yep. The Montreal Alouettes beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
I saw some guy punt and recover it and get a new set of downs. He punted past the line of scrimmage and recovered it, and if you do that, you get a new set of downs.
It was now approximately 17 years, I think 17 years since the Stones were in Wichita. I think it was 2006 or the spring of 2007, one of those. I think it was 2006. And at the time, we were in awe that a band that had been around that long was still going, and 17 years later, they're still going. There was a photo online the other day of Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood, Mick Jagger, and Paul McCartney recently taken. And I find that kind of stuff to be incredible.
Yeah, you enjoy that when old people are still living. That's big for you.
Are you laughing because that was funny or because it was stupid?
The whole circle. Everything.
So you like, well, you do like stupid humor.
Well, it is what it is.
So that was just ridiculous.
It was funny. Come on.
Why do you go see these old guys in the Eagles?
Because that's not what they are to me. They're not old guys. They're just.
But they are old guys.
I know
you can't ignore that.
Are you getting tired of going to watch them?
No.
If you're,
but he won't ever admit it.
Check scores and text us while you're at a show.
I don't like Funk 49. That song bores me.
That tells me that you're more interested in what we're doing than driving there to watch the Eagles.
No, that's just not true. I don't enjoy.
That was my theory on the whole thing.
I don't enjoy Funk 49, and they've played it. I'm not at literally every concert I've been to.
Here's
I've
how
seen
I
it 53
read Jeff.
times.
The only time he's been genuine about the Eagles is after going to see them where?
New York.
In New York, of all places. He got to New York with pure excitement at what this final tour was going to look like. And he saw, and he wasn't happy with it because in our mind, as I know how I feel, the Eagles should be mixing it up. This should not be a greatest hits tour, even though it is. So he was disappointed. He came back. He was trying to sell tickets, those tickets he had for Minneapolis. Couldn't find a buyer. Decided to take his wife up, went to the show.
No, I pulled them down. And they would have sold because they were cheaper than every seat in the section.
Decided to go. Went to the shows. Enjoyed himself. I mean, I've never been to an Eagles concert I didn't enjoy. So he's managed to bury the disappointment somewhere deep within himself and accentuate the positivity of seeing the Eagles. More power to him for that, but it doesn't mean the disappointment's not still in there somewhere.
Well, I'll be seeing him again.
Where?
Omaha,
When's that one?
February.
Good gracious.
That is, he does this. I don't know. There's something in Jeff's personality, and it would take somebody with more education than me, because when he buys into something, he doubles down, and even though he's probably going to have to look for $10,000 to pay for this cat thing.
Well, I bought the tickets before, and we had a little bit of a windfall, and it's okay.
Yeah, every windfall you get goes toward the Eagle.
Yeah, of course.
Which makes I don't know you. I love your wife, but she at some point she's got to put her foot.
Hey, my name was on the check.
Oh, here we go.
And there it is. There it is.
Well, that's the very, very definition of selfishness.
It's all good. My wife is going with me. So everyone's happy.
She's happy.
I think so.
Oh, you too. When you get that, well, I was going to say when you get that couch, did it harm the furniture?
I don't know. Probably.
Oh. When you get the couch fixed, get on it so somebody can figure you out, would you?
I have no idea what that means.
That's a therapy thing.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a therapy.
Get on the couch.
Yeah, get on the couch.
I get it.
So someone can figure it out.
Have a chat.
We're going to come back and play a snippet of the Martin Short, Steve Martin interview, in which they're very funny in that interview, as you can imagine.
And you're funnier.
And I'm hanging with them. I'll just put it that way.
Good player. Good player.
We'll see if our listeners agree, and if you guys agree. I know Jeff won't.
No, I won't.
We'll see if you all agree. Everybody listening. That's coming up next. Hour number 2, the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH.